Hello traders, this is Raman with your weekly analysis for the week of August the 31st. Looking at our economic calendar, we'll start off with the economic calendar. We'll take a look at the COT, and then we'll move on to our technical analysis. So we have a really busy calendar this week. Some of the main themes for this week that we'll see in terms of fundamental news will be, first one is non-farm payroll on Friday. Some of the other ones that we have for the US are manufacturing PMI numbers, trade balance, and factory orders. For Euro, we also have a rate decision on Thursday. We're not expecting to see any change in the interest rate. However, we will. There's also an ECB press conference, and we can expect President Draghi to speak more about monetary policy and provide some input on ECB's QE program, the latest developments that we are seeing in Greece right now, and possible impacts of the China economic challenges and how they will have an impact on ECB's monetary policy. For our Australian dollar, we have a lot of data points. We also have some important Chinese data coming out that will have an impact on the markets as well. So let's take a quick look at when this data items are coming out. We have tomorrow morning, we have German retail sales and KOF economic barometers for Swiss franc and German retail sales that will have an impact on euro. We also have CPI flash estimates and core CPI flash estimates for euro at 5 a.m. Eastern. Then we have going into the New York session. It's fairly quiet. However, we have a Chicago PMI at 9:45 a.m. for the US dollar, and then current account for the Canadian dollar at 8:30 a.m. Other than that, the New York session will be fairly quiet. Going into the Asian session, we have manufacturing PMI for China, and we have building approvals for Australian dollars. At 9:45 p.m. Eastern, we have final manufacturing PMI numbers for China. Going into Tuesday, we have Australian cash rate statement and RBA rate statement. This will have an impact on the Australian dollar. So if you're trading the Asian session or Australian dollar, something to watch out for. Going into the European session on Tuesday, we have Spanish manufacturing PMI. Actually, we have manufacturing PMI for many different countries in the Eurozone coming out during the European session. And then at 4:30 a.m. Eastern, we have manufacturing PMI numbers for the pound. We have seen pound take quite a hit last week, so this will be interesting numbers for the pound, and depending on how the numbers come out, we may see more of an impact on pound as well. As well, we have net lending to individuals month over month. And then for euro at 5 a.m. Eastern, we have unemployment rate coming out. Going into the New York session for Canadian dollar, we have the GDP numbers coming out. And then we have ISM manufacturing PMI for the US. And the rest of the New York session will be fairly quiet on Tuesday. Going into the Asian session, we have GDP for Australia at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesday, we have construction PMI numbers for pound at 4:30 a.m. Eastern, and then we have 8:15 a.m. Eastern. Going into the New York session, we have ADP non-farm employment change, which is a precursor to the non-farm payroll on Friday. And then we also have the factory orders and crude oil inventories, crude oil inventories will have an impact on the Canadian dollar if you're trading that, and the factory orders may have some impact on the US dollar, again because they speak to the state of the economy. Going into the Asian session, we have retail sales for Australia and also the trade balance for Australia, which are very important numbers for the Australian dollar. On Thursday, we have services PMI numbers coming out of the Eurozone, and we also have at 4:30 a.m. we have services PMI number for the pound. Going into the New York session, we have minimum bid rate for euro, and then at 8:30 a.m. we have the Canadian trade balance and the ECB press conference. The markets will be paying a lot of attention to the press conference, so something that we need to keep in mind. We also have the trade balance and unemployment claims data coming out at the same time for the US dollar, so we may see a lot of volatility in the market during this time, so just be mindful of that. Going into further into the New York session, we also have ISM non-manufacturing PMI numbers for the US. And then on Friday, we have German factory orders out of the Eurozone at 2 a.m. Eastern. And then also we have FOMC member Lacker speaking. At 8:30, we have employment change numbers and unemployment data out of the Canadian dollar. And then we have average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate for the US dollar, as well as at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have IV PMI for the Canadian dollar. So as you can see, the entire week is full of important data points that will have a lot of impact on the different pairs that you're trading. Now taking a look at the commitment of traders data here, we are looking at the EURUSD chart, and we are looking at the euro data. We see this week, if we just look further here, we see the dealer positions have, dealer long positions have decreased, and looking at the leveraged money positions, which is the green line on the graph here, we see that the leveraged money positions, the shorts have decreased, as well as the asset manager positions. Asset managers have actually increased their short positions slightly. Overall, in terms of the euro here, we can see when we see the dealer shorts decreasing, that usually means it's a positive. It'll be positive for the euro, and combining that with the leveraged money long positions increasing, that looks like it would be bullish for the euro in terms of our COT data. Now let's move on to the pound here. For the pound, we have dealer positions which have stayed, which haven't changed very much. We see a slight increase in the long positions. For the leveraged money, there we have an increase in the long positions, and then for the asset managers, we have a decrease in the an increase in the short positions. So overall, it's in terms of the COT, this is fairly neutral. Moving on to Canadian dollar here. For Canadian dollar, we see dealer long positions have come down, and then we also see asset manager long positions have increased, as well as the leverage money short positions have decreased. That means for the leverage money short positions have increased. So in this case, if you take a look at it, overall the numbers point to more to the short side. We can expect US dollar Canadian to go up and Canadian dollar itself to be short. Looking at the New Zealand US dollar here. For the New Zealand dollar, we see the dealer long positions have decreased, leverage money short positions have decreased as well as the asset managers short positions have actually increased slightly. So in terms of the New Zealand dollar here, we can, based on the COT data, we would expect a New Zealand dollar to be bullish. Moving on to Australian dollar here. For Australian dollar, we see dealer long positions have increased. Asset manager short positions have increased as well as leverage money short positions have increased from the previous month. All of this points to more of a bearish Australian dollar. So that's it for COT. Now let's take a look at our technicals. We're looking at the Euro US dollar daily chart. Last week it was quite a roller coaster week for the Euro USD. Here we saw big push to the upside. It broke out of the range that it was trading in, held above, and then just continuing on for another $500, 500 pips beyond that. And then just as quickly it went up. We also saw the price move down with quite a lot of strength on the way down as well. So a roller coaster week for euro. So going into this week, we have the ECB rate decision again on Thursday, and because of this huge move down based on the daily candle here, we do see a rejection from the upside, rejection of this 1300 level, and we have seen the price closed back into the range here. However, we'll have to see if the price now does a pullback and comes back into the range. If it does, then we can expect a continued move to the downside. However, we do have to be mindful as the price may do a bit of a pullback after so many days of price moving to the downside. We may see price go up again before it continues its move down. Overall, though, I am neutral to bullish on the euro here. Some of the levels that we can look at would be this 1214 level, which is our level for this level here, which is 1214. This is our support and resistance levels. This was the range that it was trading in. So if it stays below this, we can again, like I mentioned before, we can look for more downside in this. If it holds above this range, though, we may see more of a pullback. So this 1300 level, as we can see, a lot of support resistance along this level. So this 1300 level will be a good one to keep an eye on, as well as this 1400 level where we see price has reacted multiple times. So this 1400 level is a good level for looking for a potential short as well. We may see retracement off of that level. And if the price does continue down here, we have this 1017 level, which is the last time where the price turned around. So this will be a good level for a potential long. We can look to see if the price will react at this level.
Elle me manque tellement quand elle est à l'école. Je m'habitue pas. Son visage me manque et ses cris.
Moving on to the pound US dollar here, we saw pound didn't quite have the same type of move that we saw in euro. However, it did move up to test this 58.14 level, which was the previous level that it had trouble at as well. As you can see, this was a strong support and resistance level. We saw it turn around from there, nice railroad tracks here, and it just continued on to the bottom of the range. And then not only did it get to the bottom of the range here, it actually closed below and held below that. So for this week, we may see, because it was such a strong move, we may see a bit of a pullback in here. However, based on this daily close on Friday, it does look like we may see a pullback. Now the question will be, where does the pullback go to? We have this 54.60 level as the bottom of the range. That's where the price had held above for quite some time. So if the price holds below this, we can expect to see a continued move to the downside here. However, if the price comes back and holds above this and starts and stays within the range, we may see price creep up higher. In terms of the outlook for the pound, I'm looking at more of a bearish outlook. We saw that the pair had actually, so pound had come down to this level, which it hadn't seen in quite some time, since June. Was the last time when it actually traded at that level. So this is an important level, and so we may see a bounce off of that. If it does hold below, though, we are looking at this level here, which is 5180 level, as the next target. Once it breaks through this 5320 level, we are looking at 5180 for the next level where the price may react at. And on the upside here, we have 5814, which is the top, the previous top that it had gone to. However, in terms of the range here, we have this range, this 5680 level, where the price was contained for a number of days, for actually a couple of months here. So that's an important level for pound here. So we'll look at 5680 level as a potential short opportunity if it does get up to there. 5814 would also be a potential short opportunity, and so would 5460 is another level that we'll watch to see if the price will react to this level. If it stays low, then we're looking for a potential move to the downside. Moving on to the next pair, we'll look at New Zealand US dollar chart. We have seen a big, huge move in the New Zealand dollar. We saw it come down, and then we have seen it break through the range again to the downside, and we saw that the price was holding below the range. Now this looks bearish. It hasn't gone back into the range, hasn't managed to close back into the range at all. We see a lot of pins to the bottom of the range at 6,500 here, and now we see, based on the Friday close here, we see a doji. However, there was a big rejection to the upside. So based on that, we may see some more downside move in this in the New Zealand dollar. We have this big huge move, so we may see price come down. In terms of some of the levels that I am looking at, this 6,500 level may be a potential level for a sell. If the price comes up here, we can take a look to see if we may see something price action setting up to show us a selling up opportunity. This 6550 level is also nice, where the price got rejected last time. Is the nice back test of the level here. If the price does come up to 6550, that may be another opportunity to look for a potential short setup. In terms of the levels to the downside here, we have 6380 level, which is interesting, 6340 level as well. Those are nice support and resistance levels. We have to go to a monthly chart to find those levels though, but those are good levels to look for. This 6280 level is also a good level, so we may see price reaction on some of these levels. So the levels that I mentioned are 6380, 6340, and then 6280. And to the upside, we have 6500 and 6550. If the price does come up to this 6650 level though, that we may see a potential short opportunity set up here as well. So something we can look at. Overall, I am bearish on the New Zealand dollar, just based on the price action we have seen here. For the Australian dollar, we have had a similar circumstance where we saw the price break through this range where that it had been trading in for quite some time, and we saw this strong move to the downside. The price did go and almost tested the backside of the range here, but it has held, just like the New Zealand dollar, it has held below the range, and it is still holding below the range. The Friday close was very neutral, indecisive. However, it did stay below the range, and because of that, I am bearish on the Australian dollar as well, and we may see more of a move to the downside. In terms of the level here, the potential target here is 7040 level, which is the previous low from this candle. And to the upside, we have this 7212 level, which may pose as a resistance, and we may see price action or a short opportunity set up here. However, we'll have to watch for price action to see that it is setting up. Then further up, we have the 72.50 level, which has acted as support level for quite some time before the price finally broke through here. So we may see a price reaction at this point as well as the 7300 level, where the price got rejected twice before it finally broke through. So some of these levels may provide resistance if the price does continue, if the price does go to the upside, and we may see some opportunities in terms of short selling. We may see some opportunities set up there. Moving on to the dollar Canadian here, let's take a look at the 1 day. At the daily chart, we saw on Friday, we saw a big rejection from the top side. This week, we'll have to see if the price will hold below this level, which is 31.80. If it comes below this level, we may see it again. Dollar CAD had a bit of a range here as well. If it comes and holds into this range, we may see price continue down to this 130 level. Beyond the 130 level, we have 129.40, which is also an interesting level. However, we may see some reaction at 130. We may see the US dollar CAD bounce off here and go to the upside. So that would be a nice level to look for a potential long trade. This 131 level I like as well. For a potential move to the upside. However, if the price does hold below here, we may see it go towards the bottom of the range here. However, if we see, this may be driven by the oil prices. So if we see the oil prices going up, so we may see this pullback further. However, if the oil prices stay lower, or we may see a decline in oil prices, we may see this US dollar go further up again. So in terms of the pair itself, I'm bullish on this. However, we do have to be open to that. I think it will be oil play for the Canadian dollar, and we may see if the oil does strengthen further, then we could see a move to the downside as well. So we have to keep that in mind. In terms of the levels, resistance levels here, this 33.50 level is a nice level. Even though I'm looking for the upside here, when it gets here, we may see some price reaction off of this level. So this may provide a good opportunity for a bit of a pullback trade. So something that we may be able to take advantage of. And also this 32.50 level is important as well. This is looks like the price got rejected from here. Depending on what we see tomorrow, as the more volume comes into the market, we may see a rejection off of that. However, since I'm bullish, I'm looking for 33.50 as the target, and potentially a move up from there. However, we have a lot of data coming out for the US dollar as well as for the Canadian dollar, so some of that will be driven by the news. So those are some of the levels to keep an eye on for dollar CAD. That is it for the market analysis for this week.